Quickly, everyone get in the waiting rooms.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. What's up? This is the Star Citizen podcast with myself and Croncy, where we talk a little bit about Star Citizen news and then allow you guys to talk about whatever our topic is. Today, our topic is this narrative focus enough? You know, a lot of people want to play the game, want to be engaged with it, and they've made their decision on what they want to do this year, and it's just, I guess it's your opportunity and our opportunity to say, well, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, or, oh, I really like this idea. This was super fun, or this is going to be awesome. So that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. Plus, just a little bit of news around the next event, as well as there was a ship sale this week, the Super Hornet and Heartseeker stuff. So we could chat about that quickly as well. So if you guys want to join in the call list, we're actually quite open this week. So feel free. There's 2 spots open if you guys want to jump in. And we'll probably keep this one pretty short today. We always say that, and then it ends up being 2 hours. But I really do think this one will be relatively short, just because there isn't a whole lot to say on.
There's less for us to talk about this time, right?
Exactly.
Like the calls may go for a little bit, but I feel like there's less for us
sooner.
Yeah.
Get the call sooner. So, how was your week so far, Star Citizen wise? Anything fun,
very non Star Citizen until the last 48 hours. Super busy week at work.
Okay.
Good fun though, still. Also very fun watching nerds go to a Valentine's party and try to flirt with each other. Good time. But then finally actually getting to play some Star Citizen yesterday and today, and actually having a pretty decent time with it, which was good. It was a nice change of pace. Like, this is probably a topic we should bring up. Last week, they said we're going to do all these new things with like stability and stuff. They did in fact do maintenance this week multiple times. I think it was 3 times, four times after today.
Yeah. Please, if you're calling in, did you see any differences? I didn't play that much on live, so I actually don't know how much this maintenance stuff has helped. And you said you didn't play much, so I'd be very curious on what some of your experiences are. So get in the call list for that if you guys want to, because I'm seeing a couple of yeses in the Twitch chat, but
well, that's what I was going to say, right? So yesterday I got I still had not done phase 1 and 2 of Fight for Pyro because stability had been so bad over the last couple of weeks. So yesterday was able to just absolutely power through it. So I was like, all right, well, I don't know if this is a result of the maintenance, but I imagine it had an impact at making me have an experience that worked, right? So hopefully, and it's coming in through both chats. It looks like it was good. The experiences were good with maintenance. So hell yeah.
I know it was the thing that people were like, you know, like Jared said it in the SCL, like people have been, you know, responding to the things that you're saying, Benoit, but not as much as they did about maintenance. And it sounds like the game is responding as well. I spent most of my time in the PTU, just to be clear. I played Star Citizen all week, just not on live, and they weren't doing that kind of maintenance on live. So, or they weren't doing it on the PTU, I should say. And so, okay, so what did you do when you played, I guess?
So finally finished phase 1 and 2 of Fight for Pyro.
What side you go?
Yeah. So guys, I'm not a terrorist. I chose weeks ago. I chose Frontier Fighters. Frontier Fighters. My reason for choosing them was because there were chat's already coming at me. There was no reputation for Frontier Fighters. So in my head, I'm like, well, if I get negative rep with Headhunters and Citizens for Prosperity, once the event is over, I can just get that rep back. And then it's like, you know, I thought that was a cool idea. Anyway, phase 2 happened and the end of phase 2 happened. And I mean, I still kind of don't want to spoil it, but like, let's just say it wasn't the best decision lore-wise.
They spoiled it in the video, so it's kind of out there. There's not
that's
much
fair.
to do.
Yeah. So it turns out Frontier Fighters did a false flag attack, and they wanted to come in and just murder everyone in Pyro, and they are the slicers. So oops, my bad.
The worst part is
still fun though.
Is the Frontier fighters were wearing the same armor as the Slicers, and I just assumed CIG was dumb and didn't change the armor or something.
Just assume it's a bug,
right? The game is so buggy that I assume, like, I saw it and I saw all the clues I needed to see, but I just ignored them because CIG, and it was like, you know, like my feedback on the event was maybe you should have been. Like, I know it was obvious, but you have to kind of hit us in the face with these things right now because anything could be a bug and we don't know. But
we're also not that smart.
That's true. I did notice that. Like, they're wearing the same armor as the Slicers. That's why I shot at that guy. Yeah. No. It was,
I think it was a cool story beat for this little bit of narrative, which we'll go into what we're talking about later. But it was very interesting. So I did that. So that's what I was able to finish up, and then I did get the chance today to hop into the PTU and check out Phase 3. So
cool. Well, did you check out Phase 3 or did you check out Supply or Die? Phase 3 and Supply or Die are two different things. What'd you do?
Say Phase 3. I took a cargo mission that made, like, I went to a depot in order to acquire the cargo.
That's Supply or Die.
It involved me killing Xenothreat. Okay.
That's Supply or Die. So Phase 3 is on live, and it is the announcement, essentially, of what we just said, that the Slicers are the Frontier fighters, and then there are endless. It's no 6 out of 6 or anything like that. It's endless, like, money making if you want to, and no matter what side you chose, you can well, you'll have missions to knock down the Frontier fighters. I don't know what happens if you are a Frontier fighter, if you'll get any missions or not. I think it does give you the opportunity to kind of change your ways. In Phase 3, very cool. Croncy, definitely suggest next time you're able to play, which is tomorrow, right? Go on live, do Phase 3, and go to the like the bunker type mission. That's all I'm gonna say. It's awesome. I don't want to spoil it for him, guys, but it's super cool. Basically the place where Frontier fighters hide is awesome. So you find out like where they've been hiding, kind of, or where they've scurried back into, I should say. And cool. It's really, really neat. And the set dressing and level design is awesome. And so definitely check that out if you guys haven't yet as well. But I'll bring this up on the screen. And I did stop the intro just now. I almost forgot. Is this. So this is for Phase 3. There's no rewards in Phase 3, but you'll still earn the Alpha UEC. And there's no rep gain, nothing. There's just they're not counting how many missions you need to do. It doesn't matter towards anything. It's just the kind of end of that part of the story, I guess. And then Supply or Die is what you went into next. What'd you think about it? And what did you get into? Did you do the salvage? Did you do the mining? Or did you do the Detatrine thing?
Yeah, so I was able to do one mission, so I chose the Detatrine because I didn't want to have to work too much to do salvage, as well as my chat was telling me that you were doing the mining. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll leave that to you. So I just did the Detatrine, but it was kind of cool. I do like the idea that there was this cargo mission that I had to actively fight against NPCs before I started buying all the stuff. Awesome, cool. That's just a nice little tidbit, I guess. And it was pretty simple. Obviously, a lot of it is like I can see how in a live environment, this is that extra bit of dangerous, and that is that like this can feel a little jump towny as long as there are actually people around. I think there may be too many depots, though.
Yep. I think that's a lot of feedback of what people are giving. Too many depots and maybe too many drop-off points. But as you can see, you got to pay for Detatrine, and then you can sell it for more. It's not that big of a profit, especially if you're splitting it with a bunch of people. I kind of know everything about this event at this point, and unfortunately, I have information that nobody has. It might have been posted on Reddit, it might have been posted somewhere else, but Elliot, who was on the screen earlier, was seeing that I was struggling with something and decided to share some like extra information about this event in particular. So this is going to come out whenever 4.0.2 comes out, and in case you don't know the story behind it or why we're doing it, is, again, Slicer's thing happened, and you're left with two factions. You're left with the Headhunters, and you're left with Citizens for Prosperity. And you're choosing a side here, but you're choosing... And in the video that we're watching, they kind of point out that this event may decide... they were kind of saying you're going to decide the fate of Pyro. This event might be the first one that does decide that. So whatever side you choose and how many of us choose certain sides will play into this. And one thing that's really important is Fight for Pyro. Everyone made their choice based on what? Did you choose based on the rewards?
I did not choose based on rewards, but most people,
most people chose based on the skins. So here's some information that most people may not have about Supply or Die. The words of what rewards are kind of out there and leaked. The images are not. But one thing that nobody knows, I don't think, except for the people who are watching me, and if somebody posted on Reddit. I have no idea. I don't go on Reddit or Twitter. But Elliot told us that no matter what side you take, the reward will be the same. So they're not going to be like Headhunters paints or these paints. It's going to be paints for everybody will be the same. And so now your choice is you're choosing what faction you believe in. So when you're making your decision from this point forward, choose the faction you believe in, and everyone will be able to make that choice no matter who you chose previously, is my understanding. And the second thing that people may not know about is on the mining side. This mission said it was going to take a certain amount of copper and iron. That was fake, and they basically lied because they didn't want us to stockpile because they didn't know that you can't. Once they found out that you can't stockpile, Elliot told us it's going to be ice and it's going to be tin, which is way worse.
It's a lot harder to find, right?
Significantly. Basically, iron and copper are the only two materials that have 100%. Like in certain locations, it's the only material that is the low end material. You'll always have a chance to find like Quantanium and stuff, but it will always have copper in certain areas, or there'll always be iron on a certain moon. And that's dead. Now, tin and ice is the complete opposite. It's like very spread out, really hard to find. And I found a bug with ice today that I reported, and hopefully they find it. Ice is signature 1700, and it's only an asteroid, but guess what? So is a different asteroid type is also 1700. So now you're just going to get duped into thinking that it's one thing when it's not. So good luck with that one, guys, if you're going to go the mining side. But they just made it significantly harder. We'll see if they fix that one. I love this event, though. I love the idea of it. I think it's going to be super fun. I don't know if they show it here. I could maybe bring up a picture on the screen. But there's basically, this is different. It's not 6 out of 6 anymore. It kind of is, but it's a point system. So there's a certain amount of points you need to get for the first reward, a certain amount for the second, and a certain amount for the third. And you choose. I can get a bunch of RMC and construction materials. I can mine a bunch. I can buy these commodities and then cargo haul them. I can pirate them, or I can go the Dedatrine way, which is what you did, right? And they all have their desire, but and everyone's going to be earning these points in their own way, and it's going to be a grind because it's I think 30 missions for their small, medium, and large missions. 30 of the small and 11 of the large is basically how it goes. So you're going to be grinding. But another thing is if me and Croncy shared a mission, the money might get split. I don't know about the money, but the points do not. So small missions give 49 points. We're each going to get 49 points. So get your friends together, gather the material, work together, and you can gradually be dropping off and sharing the points. The money does get split, is what Twitch chat said. Which
I was
totally
going to say, I certainly hope so, especially because like if you were doing the
25 mil, it would be crazy.
Commodity, it'd be nuts.
It'd be crazy. So money gets split, points do not. Awesome change. Thank you, CIG. That's like super sweet. I hope this is how they do events from now on. This point system's super cool. Also kind of is similar to the point system that we are hearing we might have in Pyro for the shields with that whole thing, right? So very cool, and it might be leading to that. So sorry, went on a huge monologue, but I just put tons of effort into this, and I figured I'd share you the information.
So should be interesting. If we go back to the video that we were watching, though, like all of this is obviously a big part of this push. So they were talking about how they're pushing away from big feature patches this year in favor of stability. But as a part of that, obviously they don't want to release patches that have nothing in it for players. So they're doing a big content push itself, and part of that is narrative. So this is going to be missions like the ones we're doing right now, like Fight for Pyro, like Save Stanton, that realistically is a way for CIG to continue people to keep playing. Like it's just supposed to be an incentive to keep playing, I imagine, as well as them to test out, different types of missions and different narrative focuses.
Yeah. And one of the things that they said in this video was like, this isn't even the beginning of their real, like, we haven't seen the big part of the story yet. This is just like a little teaser, a little taste. So I'm curious where Dave on screen is going to go, and it's kind of his first foray in telling us a real in-game story when he's been at this company forever doing the Squadron 42 stuff and the little things and telling us stories on the website. Now they get to tell us a story in the game. I want to get your thoughts on this one, Croncy, because a lot of people did not like something that Elliot said, at least in my React video, was he was like, what I really like about this stuff is you're getting the I was here moment of like, I was here during this event, and you have your item to commemorate that, and you remember it. Star Citizen's in alpha. It's not out yet. And they, like, the kind of argument that I was seeing in my comments was, well, on live, sure, but now, and I'm totally, I love the idea. You're shaping the universe now, and you could still have your I was here moment. These are the, hey, I was in the alpha and I helped. Like, I don't know. I love the idea of this stuff.
Well, yeah, not just the items. Like we go back to what you were mentioning before about, like, there may be like actual narrative impacts with these missions based on what we choose. There may not be like actual gameplay impacts. Like, it may just be this faction instead of this faction. The end
controls,
right? But that is a cool
outposts and
exactly right. But that is still a cool thing from like a personal standpoint, right?
Yeah.
That stuff will matter and will be cool and will be something that I'll brag about to people in like 5 years time. Well, hopefully 5 years time if I'm still playing. So I don't see why people would be mad about that. It's a bit
weird, right? Yeah. I think they just want it to be like, the other argument was like, I never played WoW, but I played New World, and I could start today with a new character and go through the story of New World. The main story quest in Star Citizen is likely going to be the same, right? Where a day one player will have already experienced the same story that a day 20-year player would experience on their first. So I think that's sort of what their expectations were, and I don't know, man. They're trying to get us to play the game, and I guess yeah. And I don't know if you want to get into that topic right now, or if you want to go into some other stuff, but this is their idea of how they want to do it.
Yeah, first off, it shows a lot to their commitment of exactly what they said last week. That, like, once again, they want to focus on stability, but they also want to treat this game as a live service game now.
Yeah.
Right. This speaks a lot to that. I am enjoying these narrative missions. It'd be weird for them to go back. Like I don't think it'll go backwards, and we'll get narrative missions that like feel worse necessarily. So I'm excited to see where they go after this, especially if they please bring some more stuff back to Stanton. Like, I'm really, really enjoying Pyro. Don't leave Stanton in the dust. Put some narrative stuff in there too.
Yeah. That's why I'm so bummed about Copper and Iron. Copper and Iron were in Stanton in those 100% places. Then I had a reason to be in Stanton, mine that, and bring it through the jump gate, and people camp the gate, and like, it just we lost that opportunity. It sucks. Now I hope what's really happening is Elliot's pulling a double dupe and is actually lying and was really, and it's really telling the truth, and these ores are going to be way better to work with. But yeah, who knows? But how do you feel about the story and how, not the story, because I think the story is actually quite compelling, but how it's been told so far?
Yeah, so it's still super rudimentary. It feels very much like a text-based RPG in terms of the story at the moment. But they've got all these new avenues that they can explore. So like I want to see them still do this stuff, but like when we get the end of phase 2, this big reveal of this twist, right, is just done from a random journal entry. If that was a broadcast by the CDF, doesn't even need to be video, just voice.
Yep.
Just voice of the CDF being like, big broadcast, or not even necessarily every station, just like to you on like a little thing, similar to how Dooley used to do it during the Ninetales lockdown, right?
Sure.
Just doing something small like that can like really enhance your sort of feelings and emotions during the play session. As well as we now have so many NPCs talking to each other, both in Stanton and Pyro. If I could walk up to my hangar, or walk up to my ASOP terminal in Pyro, and I'm starting to pull out a ship, and then I hear from over here, it's like, oh man, did you hear about the Frontier Fighters and like Slices thing? Like that, it just enhanced the experience so much more.
Exactly. So. And like basically, I felt like this entire time that I was killing boars and skinning them in like an MMO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was just doing my 6 missions to finish my quest, and it just but I didn't know why, and I didn't care why, because it just wasn't upfront enough for me. I love storytelling in video games. Guys, I don't know how many of you guys did this in New World, but I stopped and I listened to every voice line and I watched every cutscene. Nobody did that stuff. They just were trying to max level as quickly as possible.
It's MMOs, gotta get
that. Exactly. So I actually do enjoy that stuff, and so a little bummed out that it wasn't in my face, which kind of sucked.
Some other stuff that I would like to see them do is like, so part of the lore was, the CFP in between phase 1 and phase 2 were like, something sus with freedom fighters, and we think we've figured out something.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Make that a mission that is similar to the is it Gundo? Kovalek's Gundo mission, the investigation mission, where during that mission you find out a bunch of stuff, and you find out, like, make the players find out that discovery through a mission is like a really interesting way to do it too. So
nope.
I hope they bring more of that on as they go through more of these narrative missions. I do really like, and it did come out through the ISC a lot as well, just how much the narrative team and the mission team are talking to each other and seem to be on the same page about like telling the story at the very least. So I'm optimistic about that for sure.
Yeah. And if they continued on the path that we're currently on, it's hard for us to answer this question, because I think we have an additional drive to play SC. Streaming, like a lot of people ask me this question, is why do you play this game, right? Because streaming it is fun. I don't think playing Star Citizen is all that fun right now, but streaming it is a lot of fun. The community is fun to interact with. It's fun to make fun of the game when it's bad. It's fun to be excited about the game when it's good. And that's it for me. I mean, it's very simple for me. Is streaming the game is fun. But if I didn't stream Star Citizen, if I didn't stream, I would be playing Albion and I would be playing Eve. Those are the two games, and maybe like some other games, right? But I probably wouldn't be playing much of this. But I wonder if the way they're telling the story is something that is that enough to keep me engaged with the story? Maybe is a better question. Like the way, like what you said you want. I feel like if we don't start getting those things relatively soon, this narrative focus isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And hopefully they make some changes. Like I think if we keep down this path and it's just missions that are, found out through a journal entry, it's just not going to be good enough. So for me, that would be my feedback, is you gotta deliver more on the maybe voice lines, videos, whatever. I mean, God, if we go to a cutscene, I wouldn't care, right? Like just you got to give me something, and this just wasn't enough. You want to move on to Super Hornet?
Yeah, let's do it.
You
It was
Coramore. Yeah, it was Coramore.
It was Coramore, guys. Let's go. Guess what? There's more Hornets. Who knew?
and I don't know how many people care, but I love the Hornet. I think it's cool looking, but I don't get it. It's like the only ship they really do this with, like really like significantly, and it's just it's kind of weird.
It's a bit of the poster boy of the game, so it makes sense. And like, you know, what was like the one ship that you saw a billion of during the Squadron video, right? Like it was Hornets. So
yeah,
they're always going to, I think, have this sort of love relationship with the Hornet. I don't really care because I don't really like it that much. It looks too much like a ship from like 80s sci-fi, and I'm not 50 years old, so I much prefer all of the like sort of aegis military designs. I think they're a lot more cool. They're a lot more futuristic. It certainly feels fun, like to fly, but that's kind of where it ends. Yeah.
I still don't know how I feel about this like Mark 1 versus Mark 2 thing. Like why? Like in the video they were like, you would still use your Mark 1. And I'm like, nobody's gonna use their Mark 1 guy. Okay, like we know what you're doing here, and the paint looks good. Like they're showing it on the screen. The Heartseeker paint looked cool, but and what do you think of the gun? I mean, it's just another
it sounds cool.
Ballistic gun.
It sounds really cool. Like that once again, that's about it. But like, it has got probably like some of the most impact that I've heard from a ballistic gun before in the game, which is nice.
Yeah. It also fires about the same speed as the Ardors and Attritions. So if you wanted to combine those together, you could, which is, you know, an option if you want to go that way. I know somebody posted a video of he was able to get the guns off the turret and then put them on his ship as an entire ship with those guns.
It's like the full turret.
Yeah, it was pretty beefy.
Nice.
So yeah, but I don't care. I you know what I care, because you know, we talked about this with the Vulture versus the Fortune. It's like 10 ships that all are basically exactly the same. And then they posted, oh my god, I don't have the image for it. I could try and bring it up, but they posted this spreadsheet in our game that's not supposed to have spreadsheets for
yeah, we're always gonna have spreadsheets. We're too
for how to load out your Hornet. Where is it?
Yeah, I haven't seen this.
Look at this. Look at this. Are you kidding me? If this is what you have to do, you have overcomplicated things.
No.
You have overcomplicated things.
Well, see, but the thing is, I would expect a player to do this. You know?
Yes, if their game overcomplicated something for no reason. I don't appreciate this at all in games. I think that this is just stupid. This is my opinion. There are 40 different attachments, 40 different ships, and all the ships are essentially like very close to the same. They like fly within 5 to 10 meters per second of each other, and the rotations are a little bit different. And it's just like goofy. And then the Mark 1s versus the Mark 2s. There was a conversation on the forums about the Ghost. So the Ghost right now is just like blanket stealth. So you could put the Hornet turret, like a Super Hornet turret on it, and you'll still have the same stealth. But what they also want to do is if you take the stealth thing off in the future and put it on another ship, that ship will gain stealth.
Yeah.
So why is there a stealth version of the ship?
Because the Hornet's garbage. That's why, Mike.
Like, I don't know. Like, so now I could just put the Wheelstop radar on whatever I want, and now I just have a tracker. Like, so why is there a tracker? I just don't get it. So yeah, it's just, I think they made a mistake really early on with the Origin ships, the 300i. I think they made a mistake with the Auroras, and I think they made a mistake with the Hornets early on, and then now they're just like doubling and tripling down like Pirate Software or something on this stuff. It's like it's like crazy. What? Like, it makes no sense. Like, why are you keep doubling down on a thing that never made sense in the first place? But here we are. So That's the only thing I feel strongly about the Hornet sale. It was like, really? Like, this is just getting goofy. So,
but yeah, other than that, it was kind of a short week. Like we
that was really it.
There's not a lot to talk about. Like I was glad for us that was technically our first ISC because we had an SEL and we had a ship talk before that. That was it. And it was a good one. But yeah, it's just it's a lot of stuff that we've already been experiencing for the last few weeks. Like they've started this narrative push already.
Yeah, so. They're going with it. The other thing that they said was like, I think I said it earlier. We haven't even heard the big part of the story yet, so it might get really compelling. It might get really exciting. We'll just have to see. But I think with that said, we're probably ready to go to callers. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
We'll bring in Frosty. I wasn't sure when we'd stop, so I actually don't have anybody's messages up yet. All right, Frosty, can you hear us?
Hello, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure can. How you doing, Frosty?
Oh, good, thanks.
Lovely.
And yeah, 5 years of Twitch as well.
Oh yeah, congrats.
But yeah, for this narrative thing, I think I see what they're doing, and obviously it is kind of good, but the narrative, element isn't really there. There's no meat to it. It's like, I'm going to reiterate on some of Croncy's points, but there's nothing there in game. It's like with the save Stanton, that trailer that came out when the patch dropped and phase 1 started. They had a news, broadcast in the trailer. Why not put that into the game on landing zones, space stations, etc. They've got the technology to do it because we see their own.
Orison all day. I don't care about Orison
exactly. They've got
the city in the clouds.
Yeah, that's the one.
We see the ship commercials in game, in Invictus and IAE. They can easily do that, but they just don't. And it's like it's irritating because that you can do it, but you're just not doing it. You're not providing that meat. All it is to me, like, so I've done phase 1 to 3 of fight for Pyro. All it felt was just time limited mission. The basic missions, they're just time limited. That's all it felt to me, really. And you repeat it 6 times. It's not really engaging, but on the narrative side, it isn't engaging enough to have the elements that they're trying to do. It needs to all come together. And even with the pick between what faction you wanted to fight for, they could easily do like faction representatives that come over audially, over Mobigas or whatever, to point there to try and get you to join their faction, and do that.
They did it a bit with Citizens for Prosperity at like IAE or whatever it was towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like they had like a little booth there or something, but again, nobody said anything. There was no real anything, right? They didn't even do it in their commercial type stuff. It was
yeah.
I guess for this like mission, it's like, how deep do they want to go? Like, if will we be revisiting this mission, or is it literally, this past month and it's done? We'll never see it again. Because if it's a past month and it's done and we'll never see it again, like we'll see other narrative missions, but not this one, then you probably don't want to invest all that time into it and getting all of those voice recordings, getting those into the game. I want that for reference. But if this is going to be your first narrative mission, I can understand not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But, it just comes to, they can do it, but they just choose not to. And it's like even with the Frontier Fighters thing, we've seen it in a journal, like who reads journal entries really? It could, again, easily be a breaking news thing in Stanton, because obviously
I guarantee more people now read journal missions than they used to.
Oh yeah, no, but originally, obviously no one really found out until someone, put it on Reddit and stuff. But yeah, it's just like they've got the tools to do it, but they're just, I understand if it's a one-time thing, but again, if it's just going to be a one-time thing, it's
yeah.
That's all I've really got to say. It's just they've got the tools and they just
Fair enough. Hopefully,
which faction did you choose?
Yeah.
Same as you, Croncy, Frontier Fighters.
Oof, okay. Another baddie. Are we the baddies? You are. You are. All right, Frosty. We'll let you go. We don't want to be associated.
Yeah.
We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Gotcha, Frosty.
All right. Before we get to our next caller, something that we did not bring up. Oh my God. The caller list just blew up as well. So we'll probably keep everybody relatively short on these since the subject's pretty thin. And then maybe we'll get to people very, very quickly, and we'll still keep the show as short as we would like it to today, okay? But if you guys are in the green room right now, you might have a chance. Even the waiting room 5, maybe. We'll see. So before we jump into that, though, one thing that we didn't mention, the Grey Cat Rock, its bag removes in the back now.
Yeah, you can like store it in your inventory.
Can't
now,
sell
right?
from it,
like
but you can
inventory.
You can take it off. You can do like logistics with your org if you want to do that. It's still not anywhere near where it needs to be, but it's something you could do, which is very cool. So just wanted to bring that up just in case we forget. And I'm ready to bring in PepicWalrus, our next caller. So,
how you doing, Pepic?
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
Frosty has beaten me by 1 slot for the past 3 weeks.
Well, Frosty's a mod, so he's here early in the morning when I'm streaming. So he's modding.
He actually
for me
just
and then
kicks
jumps
everyone
in.
else out of the out of the channels.
So he's helping me out. So he jumps in and gets in there. So what do you want to mention?
First, the maintenance. I have noticed improvements. Yesterday in particular, the first one not so much, but yesterday I was running contested zones and inventory was ass. And then they did the maintenance, and it was specifically for inventory lag, and it has been perfectly fine since.
How freight elevators in contested zones? That's what's kept me away from doing them.
So I've only been into the vault twice, and it's been broken since both times.
Yeah, that I will not do it until those are pretty consistent.
Yeah.
But the narrative is keeping me playing the events because I was playing a lot for Save Stanton and then until the end of the year, but then like I started to fall off. But once Fight for Pyro kicked back up, it's gotten me back in. So there are reasons to come back, which is good. It definitely needs VA of some kind.
I found myself playing the game instead of talking about it because of these events. Yeah, that's something, right? Sometimes I'll just be farting around talking about the game, reacting, like just full cam talking about it. This entire cycle from Save Stanton until now, all I have done is play the game. So that is, it's got to be saying something. It's probably helping them out in some way.
Could it be better? Definitely. But you can see like what their ideas are and how it can be better in the future. And it's still enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure.
I was watching Astro Historians After Dark last night, and he brought something up that should they redo, once they have this narrative done for like the beta period for 1.0, should they redo these events for like the beta period? And I think yes, that they should rerun through the storyline leading up to 1.0.
Nah.
To where
I was gonna say I think they should be different events. You want one like they're going to learn from these few narrative events that they do over this year, right? When you get towards a 1.0, do some even better ones. Like use what you learned.
Think about the like, ooh, you get to buy spaceships for hundreds of dollars before the game comes out, and that's your advantage that you're going to have over other people when the game comes out. Like that's basically what they've sold you on, like why you want to buy spaceships, right? Well, this is like, in my opinion, like 1,000 times better than that, which is hey, thank you for helping us during the alpha. Here is some stupid trinket that means nothing that you will, but it'll be meaningful to you because you were there. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for limited time items, so I agree. If they do rerun things, they should be different rewards, or just hey, we're just going to run the event for funsies, so you can experience the story. But
exactly, I would agree. I would be way more comfortable with what Astro was saying if the reward was kept for the alpha people. But I understand my bias. My bias is I love limited time rares and things that I can hold on to forever, and people will look at that thing and be like, hey, that thing is like 20 years old. Holy crap. I want to buy that or something. Right. And it's one thing that I've always done in MMOs, and I want that to be a thing I'm able to do in this one is rare collecting, rare trading, buying and selling, things like that. So
definitely, especially if we get blueprints for them down the line, we can sell them off to
there's
people
a lot of CitizenCon trophies that I don't have that I definitely would want to have a full cabinet of at some point, right? Something like that.
In addition, I think it's important to remember, like we are supposed to be getting a different storyline that is like unrelated to this for 1.0, right? The big storyline they're talking about. They mentioned in the ISC that it is different. This doesn't really have much to do with that. The event that I would want as a lead up to 1.0 would be some relation to that, some backstory for whatever that massive quest ends up being, rather than
prequel.
Hey, who got murdered more in Pyro? Was it Headhunters or CFP? Right?
Who's in control of the stations this month? That's basically what it sounds like we're doing at the moment. I don't know if it'll be stations or outposts or whatever. It doesn't matter, but that's just what it feels like.
It would just be cool if all these alpha events tie together to lead into the main story, so we get like that prehistory.
They very well might. I just think this particular, the Save Stanton and Fight for Pyro, I think, is literally just their test for these narrative missions.
Yeah.
As they once again said during ISC, we're supposed to be getting a patch every month. There should be this type of content in the majority of those patches. Which I do not quote me that was exactly what he said, but he said something of that.
It's going to go until October. This storyline apparently.
For the A plot, and then the B plot goes till November. And what's in November? And who's been trapped in Pyro for the last 3 years?
Yes, let's go.
And October
in game.
October CitizenCon, right? So
Yep.
Who knows?
The leader of the CFP.
What does Jackson reward you with when you save him? An M50 race car bed. Listen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is gonna be a new meme every week, right?
I keep mentioning it. We'll manifest it. All right.
All right, Pepic.
Later.
Bye bye now. All right, he popped out, and we'll go right to our next caller. That's Testatastic. Testa, you're muted, so we're just gonna wait for you real quick. I know we kind of pulled you in quickly, so hopefully he's here.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Good. What do you want to talk about? Well, what of the topics do you want to talk about, I guess?
I'd like to talk about the Safe Stand for Pyro. Definitely had a fun time. It encouraged me to log in a lot.
Yep.
Especially when you hit that limit of I have enough alpha UEC to do whatever I want, so I'm just kind of why am I hopping in? This gives me a small enough reason to hop in every week and play. Definitely like Overdrive was.
Yeah. Overdrive was, that changed everything. That's why we're doing what we're doing today is Overdrive drew enough people into the game, I think, to do this.
And I'm liking that they're doing this. I think it's a good play for the long term because what this essentially does is 8 to 10 months of consistent commitment to updating the mission scripting and all the mission code.
Yeah,
because that's what they're going to have to do every month. They're going to have to be able to put out some slight variation of an existing mission, and then hopefully that gets recycled back in, not as a story mission, but what we did last time of go destroy those things on the asteroid bases, the little gas balls.
But not just that. It also forces them to make the commitment to fix the things around what they're working on. So another thing that I forgot to mention that we should have, they didn't fix something, they nerfed something because of this event. Salvage panels used to give 9 SCU, the big ones, they're back to giving 5 again. Because I think that they assumed that everyone would do the salvage side because it would be easier, quicker, and then they knocked it down. They're still calling it a bug, and I believe it is because last time it was 9, they called it a bug, and then it went down to 5, and then it went back to 9, so that bug probably reappeared. But so I don't want to take too much time away from you, Testa, but the that's one thing. And then the other thing is, I actually just happen to have it on the screen now, so I might as well just click play. What I mentioned about the ice, it just shows the 1700, and it's not. It doesn't. Nothing comes up there. That should say under the little arrow. should say I type, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, that's something that they're going to need to address, hopefully, if you want us to be mining ice, right, for this event. And it will help them fix the little, if you're constantly touching on different aspects of the game all the time, it's going to force them to try to fix these things. Are they going to fix freight elevators because of this, right? So far, no, but maybe.
That post from this week, was that this week where they're the communication breakdown? I think it was on Monday. They're focusing back on. I think they brought up vehicles and freight elevators again, which that is on the line. Obviously, still in the queue, but they're working on trying to make that a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, and I'm doubling down. I know I kind of for the prediction podcast a month or so ago, I said Sandworm. I think the Sandworm is going to be either the finale or the next quest line, the next major story.
Yeah,
true.
They're working on it. The monthly reports have confirmed that they're working on it. They've talked about it a few times. It would be an interesting addition to this. Maybe we need to get some of you can see how they could just because why would you just kill Valakar? But you can see how they would be well, hey, we're out of Valakar pearls, because of all this fighting and whatnot, so we need to grab some more type thing.
Yeah, you goobers keep dropping bombs on these moons and you have upset the worms. You now need to put them down.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You have awoken the horror.
Yeah, I know. You guys stop dropping bombs. You're awaking the really big ones. I'm excited. I'm definitely think we're doing this. And yes, I was also caught off guard. I did not Citizens for Prosperity, the faction that had the camo skin. I'm blanking on it.
Frontier Fighters.
Frontier Fighters.
Everyone's a terrorist on this podcast.
Yeah.
I went CFP on my main account. The other accounts I did.
Would.
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah. They were more industrial.
But now that I was caught off guard, I will be checking it out. I will be checking the lore stuff. But if it's a skin, I like that skin, man. Ooh, maybe I will abandon my morals.
Nice. All right, Testa, do you want to mention anything else, or should we let you go?
I think that's it for me.
All right, perfect, man. Thanks for your call. Appreciate you, dude.
All right, bye, guys.
Cheers.
Bye now.
Catch up.
All right, next caller coming up is Clever Bard. Clever Bard, what's up, man? What faction did you go with? We got to start with everybody on that one.
And you are muted.
Oh.
There. Oh.
Okay.
There he is.
Hello, boys.
Hello.
I went Citizens for Prosperity. Actually did a lot of research. I was watching Astro Historian. I was going back and forth, reading all the dialogue.
Dude, I gotta watch this video. I haven't watched it yet.
So he did a really great job. And the reason I went for Citizens for Prosperity and not Frontier Fighters was partially because I'm a Terra stan, right? I'm not for Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So my understanding, not to spoil anything, is that this is there's a quote from Mark Hamill in the 1996 Wing Commander where it's usually the fuse of a war starts long before the freaking bang or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, first time ever even investigating Wing Commander at all. So for
this
being
story's so good. Wing Commander's so good.
So
Wing Commander 4 is my favorite.
One of them. I just want to do the one with Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard.
No, Matthew Lillard is in the movie, which is cringe.
Yeah, I'll just watch the movie.
The movie is cringe and is not really Wing Commander at all, and I hate it. I cried.
It makes so much sense.
I cried. Another moment where I cried. I cried coming out of Wing Commander. I was so mad.
Anyway, so that's I think what they're kind of playing on, and the less we know, the more it's weird because we need to know enough to not know enough. So part of what I think the narrative team is working on is telling us enough to give us the mystery. And they definitely have some wording that they need to figure out because not all the Frontier Fighters were slicers, but many slicers made their way into the Frontier Fighters. And we kind of got that from we don't know who to trust, so you can't share the mission. And they kept on hinting at that in Spectrum and stuff. Well, we can't share the mission because, we don't know who to trust. It's well, there's infiltrators. So I don't blame you, Croncy, for choosing Frontier Fighters because they broke off from for Prosperity. You should have known your bros in the locker room were slicers, but
That is not my understanding of Frontier Fighters. My understanding of Frontier Fighters is they are just straight up the slicers, all of them.
And they were lying.
They did the false flag attack, and then they said, actually, guys, I don't know who those slicers are. We're the Frontier Fighters, and we're all cool dudes, and we would never commit terrorist acts.
Then that is where I think the writers failed in some of their writing, because it would start that in some of the lines, if you go back and read it, there's a small hint of some of the Frontier Fighters were slicers, but then later in the paragraph they say all of the Frontier Fighters are slicers. So, or they don't say all of that deliberately, but it's messy. If you're gonna do text on a screen, be cleaner is my point.
Yeah.
Entirely. But listening to Astro Historian and listening to a couple other sources, and the reason I went for Citizens is because I'm like, for now, I'm a Hurston Drake guy, and I'm just gonna go with that. But I think the where they're going with it is that fuse that's sparking something that leads to the 1.0, and I don't even want to speculate on 1.0 storyline.
Yeah,
but I because citizenship has been said as being part of that, like you get citizenship at the end.
Yep.
I think citizenship is going to be central to that, to this whole line of like what is citizenship in the UEE and Terra and the war that might spark. And you know, what better faction to bring into it than the corrupt Hurston family, you know, on the CFP side. So we're not any better. The Citizens for Prosperity
is CFP Hurston. Is that what you're saying?
They have like Hurston donors.
So the whole leader who's giving us the lines and stuff had a relationship with a guy who went to Pyro and died. So she went to Pyro and was trying to kill people or help people or eliminate the headhunters and make it a safe place, because it's all revenge for the love of her life dying. And she's a specific agent for Hurston, who are all of those agents are known for doing shady shit.
Yeah.
So so that fits for me. But so the lore is super deep, but they're doing not a very good job of telling it. And I think if Elliot just hopped on the mic and did some voice lines with his North accent, he's like, "Oh, we are ever going to do it."
That'd actually be so sick. I'd be so down for just like every voice line to just be
every voice line. Headhunters. If he put on like a little bit of a different voice, yeah, he could probably do some headhunter lines, and then he could go back and do the,
"Hey, I'm Citizens for Prosperity."
Hey, yeah, I think just that would be gold, just to test it, just to see if we can get it in, because all the NPCs' voice lines are staff anyway, so it fits with the
Not
theme.
all of them, but a lot. Yeah,
a lot of them. But yeah, I think they have all the mechanics they need to. I'm my last thing before I go. I think they're gonna, like you guys said, they're teasing with this next event the fueling the station with resources, so that what's that station warfare thing. But I think at some point they're going to change ownership of Checkmate or some of the other ruined stations to become Frontier Fighter stations that we have to like liberate again. Very much like Blockade Runner.
Have you played Phase 3?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'm playing Phase 3, but they're like being beaten back.
Yeah.
But like, are they totally being beaten back is what I'm getting from it. I'm also finding dead bodies with handcuffs next to them, and I don't know if it's part of the classic set dressing or if it's part of the hints and little things that we're supposed to find.
I think the slicers / freedom for Frontier Fighters will be pretty much done for by the end of this.
But where are they getting their funding? How did they get an Idris? What? Maybe I'm putting Frontier Fighters as like a blanket over who funded them or who got them going, right?
Maybe.
Like,
I mean,
they're not going anymore.
There's a major faction that's not in really any of these missions except for like some of the
Xenothreat.
Xenothreat are like kind of missing from like a lot of this, although they are there at some of these depots.
Well, we're all humans.
Presumably also trying to get like this cargo.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there's Xenothreat.
I would imagine. Yeah. Like they're just at outposts though. They're not like, they don't seem to be taking an active role in this story. And like they are supposed to be the like toughest gang in Pyro, right? Like the most organized. I don't know if they're the biggest, supposed to be the biggest, but it certainly feels that way. And they're like, you know, a gang just came in to try to murder everyone in this entire system.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, if whatever the next act is, I feel like they're probably going to have some sort of impact in it.
I can see it. They do find Idrises and such in their own way.
Again, the big part of the story hasn't even started yet, so we'll see. I mean, I'm interested. I want to point out something from Twitch chat. I didn't care about any of this, but this man's passion captured me. So there you go.
There's so much
Clever Bard. There you go.
Yeah. It's because the narrative writers are great. It hasn't been implemented particularly well into the game yet.
They just need some voice lines.
I love Astro, and I love the fact that he exists, and I love the videos. It just kind of sucks that the only way I find out about this stuff is through him.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that
to the lore that I experience in the game and get to tell me more, right? Not
the narrative team isn't just they know Astro exists, right? They know we as a community are going to talk to each other. I think part of what we're supposed to be doing is what we're doing right now. We want to get hit over the head with the narrative, yes, and I agree that we need voice lines in 100%.
Yeah,
I think
the depth can happen writers like this.
Yeah,
I think the writers are definitely watching the community. They're watching Reddit. They're watching this right now. I mean, hi guys, thank you for a story. It's great.
They're not here.
But
those devs aren't here. I can tell you that much.
But I think they are watching the larger forums and stuff to see what we're saying and how we're solving mysteries. And I think the last thing besides voice lines would be literally putting a tag on the evidence that we're supposed to be finding. The data pad that was in the weekly review. Finding a body that hasn't.
That's a good point. I loved the data pads in Siege of Orison, because they had conversations in game, in lore, between different members of Ninetales, being like, "Oh, we got a box over here, and we've figured out the password, blah blah blah." And like those small things, even like let's say you go and do a mission where you're just fighting back Frontier fighters. If you found a data pad there that had like just a little bit of lore in it that I got to read, awesome, right? Like that once again adds a lot to it.
Yeah. The good artists, good artists copy best artist steal or whatever. Dead Space with they had data pads, but then they also had voice pads where you pick up the pad and it's, I'm just fixing the maintenance thing, and there's
yeah.
You know,
I mean, games do that all the time.
And they could attach a voice file to a data pad and it just work like a voice line. It's just a voice line attached to a data pad instead of a human.
Yeah. Is everything this difficult in this? Like, is it just 10 times harder than every other game? You know what I mean? Like, it's so annoying.
Well, the thing is, they've done it before, so it's realistically, it's like, do they want to dedicate the time to it? I would hope with this ISC they do.
I wonder if it's as simple as server meshing. Like, oh shit, server meshing, it's a little bit more work than what it would normally be in the past, and we just didn't get to
put
it.
Put it on our client. Put it on the client, and then just have it localized to me with some kind of thing. I would take a British robot voice telling me the line. Just text to speech every day. Anyway, you guys,
all right, Bard.
I would not.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, if it sounded like that, it would be horrible. And
that's my accent.
The Brits in chat are cringing at the moment. Bard, with that, we'll let you go, dude. Thanks for the call and thanks for the lore dump. Appreciate it, man.
God bless you guys.
Talk to you.
Catch you, man.
All right, next, one of our very regular certified gumbo. Welcome back, man. What's up?
How you doing, Gumbo?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Pretty good. So yeah, two things, like the narrative focus for the year requires, I think, a couple things for this to work well. I like that they're trying and attempting an actual campaign, like right off the jump. Like that's really cool. But there's got to be tie-ins to the world. Like otherwise it's just going to be a long mission that the only way you'll know what's going on is if you're actually playing the mission, whereas like this should be something that is reflected in the game world, like we were talking about earlier, the having voice lines, NPCs in the world just talking about the recent events as they're happening. Like, why is it like Dooley on a emergency broadcast saying the message of like, hey, we found out the slicers, were like that should be something that gets broadcast in Stanton over the comms at space stations and landing zones, like stuff like that. And then also the A story, B story, C story sounds cool, but I want to see how they do that, because that could be really interesting. Because I think about like Helldivers as a basic example, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you have like a squad of 1 or full 4-man squad, like you can still play the game, and at the end when you complete the mission, it shows you your contribution to the overall campaign. Like, so if you do it solo, it'd be like 0.00001%. Like, but at least you see that you had some sort of effect on the overall, like, overarching campaign, overarching story. Like, they could
I hope
do
that's
that.
what this next one is. That it's like,
like,
they used to do the thing where they would put up the stats of like how many kills and how much maize was returned and things like that for like Jumptown. So maybe they do the same.
Yeah, but like, put that in game though. Like, don't just put it on the PDF on the website. Like,
agreed.
Have some way, like some sort of like news dispatch where like there's an NPC reading off that information in some way.
I got a question on that. Just it's they have decided to take people off of features that we really, well, I know I really want, and I think we really need, things like crafting and probably other things, right? Because they need them to fix bugs and these other things. To me, what you're asking for sounds very similar to like another feature that they need to add into the game. If they're gonna be going away from things that are like mega important for now, I don't think, like with Croncy saying like, hey, the voice lines were here already, bringing back that standard is that's where my line ends of what they should do for these narrative missions. Is I feel like adding even something like that is more work than they should be doing right now towards the game. But then what you also have to ask is that something they're going to need for the 1.0 campaign? And if they are, might as well do it now. So it's going to be this balancing act of, and they can go one way or the other, and no choice is entirely wrong. You might upset more people if you make one or the other, but I don't think any choice is entirely wrong. So, yeah.
I mean, that brings me to my second point, because I also agree with you about the feature work, because there are certain features that should still be prioritized, and I think in order for something like this to work, we need those social tools. Like that.
I think
that has to be a high priority.
Once again, we talked about this when we talked about them. I just said talk like 17 times. When they mentioned this change towards stability and stuff like that, once again, features are no longer getting worked on. It is still a priority. It's just things have shifted so that the game is playable first, and then they can implement those. So I don't think it is going to be a problem that we're not just now social tools aren't a thing anymore, crafting's not a thing anymore. It's just we may not see those as early as we previously did. And I agree with you, those social tools would improve this experience. We can't have both. We can't have them working on stability finally, and also being like, here's these features to make all of these things much better. We cannot have both in the same time.
Yeah, they have to stick to it. And we have to just roll with what they want to do.
Yeah, if in 6 months' time they swap back to features as a priority, completely useless. This entire 6 months,
Yeah, well, I mean,
unless they nail everything, but obviously they probably won't.
True.
Yeah.
Part of the problem, though, right now is like in everything they communicated so far this year, they haven't yet told us what features they're focusing on. Like, we know they're still going to bounce back and forth, but the heavy emphasis is on stability. But even saying that, like, we still have no idea what's being prioritized. Like, at some point, I hope that they will let us know.
Jared mentioned, I think in the SCL, engineering, base building, and crafting. Like, we're taking engineers off of these big, sexy features, and you said engineering, base building, and crafting during that moment. So
Okay, yeah,
those were probably the focus.
yeah. I mean, yeah. So I think those are the main things to me. Like, it's just bringing the stuff more in world, and then also making it, doing things that reduce the friction for grouping players together, and also identifying who's friend and foe, because everybody shows up, with the white letters over their name.
Yep.
And
But
it's like, hey, if I showed up here and I'm working for CFP,
yep,
I need to see a tag. Yeah, on that would make it a whole lot easier. If I show up to an outpost and I'm doing a cargo run and I see other people there, I have no idea what their intentions are.
Exactly.
And if they don't have their mics on, like, I'm shooting. Like,
faction warfare, let's go.
And so that to me, at least that aspect of the social tools, just the faction identification, like being automated, like as soon as you take a mission with someone, that little faction tag should pop up on their name, so you automatically know who they are. And I think the rep tag is, I don't know, I guess that's more feature work, but reputation hostility also playing a factor in that would help. But yeah, those are my points. I think I know who's behind me in the queue, so I definitely want to hear what they have to say. So
okay. Cool. Sorry, I'm just yelling at somebody in Twitch chat. All right, so yeah, I'll let you go, Gumbo, and thank you for your call, of course, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
man, appreciate the call. Appreciate it.
It's just why when other people are happy and everyone wants to take you down, there's clear issues with everything that they're going to do. But if you say one good thing, there's certain people in the community that no matter what, it's like they just gotta take you down because they're unhappy about it. And it's like, it's okay for you to be unhappy, but you don't have to try to convince me to be unhappy.
Yeah, you got to remember, Mike, the most toxic people about Star Citizen are the ones playing Star Citizen.
Yeah. They're usually the happy ones playing Star Citizen, I think, are the most toxic ones.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of the most toxic person in Star Citizen,
voiDude or voiDude. He's definitely the most toxic.
Definitely.
I'm so toxic, man. Excuse me. I'm about to come and rain on this parade.
How you doing, voiDude?
This community. Oh, I'm doing all right in yourself, Croncy. You guys all right?
Yeah.
This community is so cooked, man. There's been people saying that they wish that they could redo the fight for Pyro stuff. As if, and I get it, right? It's like this once-off thing, it'll never happen again. But at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of missions where you read some text, and then, as you said earlier, you go and kill your 10 boars, and you do that 6 times in a row. So I'm like, I understand, like, listening to the podcast today, I learned a lot. There's, like, obviously some nuance and some depth here, and some stuff that, like, Astro Historian's been tucking into and figuring out. And it's sad that this is the case, but they're telling and not showing, right? It's like I did not experience any of this playing through this event, right? It was painful, and it was like not what I wanted to be doing when I log into the game, right? And I just don't understand. There's like this massive disconnect, right? Like, in a way, we used to play older MMOs like World of Warcraft and stuff like this, where you've got this, they're weaker in their methodologies of telling a story, right? You open your quest log, you read the quest text, you go and do the thing, repeat, right? That's like as extreme as the storytelling got, right? And if you wanted to get deeper into it, there was, auxiliary material to consume to enhance this experience, right? And then they got clever and they got more sophisticated. They started making cutscenes, and expansions started to have like more deeper, nuanced ways to tell the story and help players feel engaged, right? Now, I just find it even more perplexing that we're sitting here, and this is starting to sound more and more like the kickoff to a really big year of storytelling for Star Citizen. But why is this, it feels like Elliot sat there on a shoestring budget, cobbling this together to give us what we've got, right? Do you guys get the sense, right? It feels like something's missing, like there was a massive piece of this narrative experience that just never managed to get to a place that it had to be.
Yeah. I'm frustrated that if we're going to go the narrative direction and it's this, then we should have done something different. Is the only thing I would say. If this is the way it will be.
Yeah. I expected more out of what Star Citizen should be capable by this point in time, especially when it comes to their so-called narrative stuff. And it's even more perplexing to me because everybody's making such a big deal out of it. And then I sat down and played the game, and I'm like, what story? What's going on here? Like, and this is what's even more perplexing is that they've got the balls, and I respect CIG for this. They hoodwinked a massive amount of the community into being,
terrorists, essentially.
Exactly, and I think that's very ballsy. I thought that if they
it was awesome. I loved it. Right? No, that is my favorite story beat we've ever had.
They literally pulled the wool over your eyes, and you feel like you became the betrayer kind of a thing, and it's like, wow, that's really cool, but I'm not feeling it, right? Like,
because
something
there's
as simple
no
as like
impact on the fact that it happened, and there wasn't enough storytelling to let you know, like it.
Well, actually, no. I will fight back. There was an impact. I now have hostility with CFP and headhunters.
Okay, but you could go do like one mission and it goes away. Yeah, it's about as impactful as having a tier 5 crime stat and you go to SPK and clear it.
Sure.
Yeah,
right.
But that's the thing. I don't think we're at that state where you can see their intention behind this. If the reputation system was much more mature, and these, the impact of this was so much more long-lasting, right? That would be amazing, right? Like you've actually made your players angry, and you've this faction within the game hoodwinked them. I think that's very powerful. But I
will also quickly fight that then again, though, in terms of a gameplay perspective. If it was more long-lasting negative impact to me for like that reputation, the reaction would not be that was a cool twist.
Would be losing
reaction would be like,
even more
how
angry.
dare you, CIG, you've locked me out of content, right?
I'm a bit of a sadist, right? And I love when that happens in games, right? If you make the wrong decision, you didn't have enough information at your disposal to make such a hectic decision, right? I kind of love that. And then you're kind of forced to just go with whatever you've got at your what information you have managed to glean, right? I think from an RP perspective, from storytelling perspective, most games, or some games, they kind of like Baldur's Gate, for example, right? You don't get all the information, and you've got to kind of make some pretty hardcore rolls, right, in your first playthrough, this type of stuff, and that's very exciting. But from and I'm not even the type of player who wants to have everything spoon-fed to me. I don't think everything needs a cinematic, right? It's like environmental storytelling is a huge thing that I really appreciate from games like Elden Ring. It's like they lay the foundation for the story, and then you just play in this world, and you can kind of piece things together as you experience visually the world, right? And that's also very powerful. And I just feel like Star Citizen is missing the mark here, right? It's like when I started killing Frontier Fighters NPCs on foot, they just felt like generic NPC number 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like
they
obviously had the tactical armor that you've seen since day one of Star Citizen, essentially. But where's you killed an NPC, you decide to loot him, there's a little data pad with a little bit of a cryptic note or something, like this kind of basic stuff. Even if they don't, I was thinking, open up your Mobiglass and read their propaganda, not read their propaganda, but where's their propaganda video or their propaganda audio bite, right? And you're like, oh wow, these guys sound pretty cool, I'm gonna go with the CFP or whatever, right? It was
on ISC.
Exactly, right? We all play games. We know how good games can be as a medium for telling stories. And I mean, I'm sorry to say that none of it was here, right? And I think the community is really blowing this up, and it's just not something that it isn't what it is, right?
Yeah. No, I think that they, at least from my perspective, it's like, oh, what a cool story. And it's still fair to have your opinion that you have about it, but yeah, like it's how you started. It's like, oh, it is a good story, and I think that's what the community is blowing up. I don't think anybody is saying, "Wow, you told that story so well." Never, I haven't heard anybody say that yet. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I was yelling at that guy in Twitch chat about. Is like, all right, you're getting mad at people for enjoying themselves, but they're enjoying an aspect of it, but they're not necessarily saying this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh my god, game of the year, right? Nobody's saying that.
Like I can sit here and feel quite negative. yeah, I feel quite negative about the whole experience, but mostly because they made me do the same damn thing 6 times in a row, which I think by this point it's egregious, right? Like, I come from a WoW background, and I look at Star Citizen, I'm like, this is the game that's going to change that dynamic, and things are going to feel more, when they get their shit together, like, things are going to no longer feel like Fetch Quest 76, right? But yet here we are feeling like we're doing Fetch Quest 76, right? And I that's a bit painful, right? But I mean, dude, it's the internet, right? If I sit here and I bitch and moan and I sound upset, that doesn't need to take anything away from anybody else, right? If you enjoyed it, I'm super happy that you enjoyed it, right? I enjoyed. I've got a ship about to attack me.
Are you playing?
He's always playing.
I fucking hate this game anyway, guys. So I've got like 300 cargo right now.
Croncy gets it. Yeah.
But the thing about the next set of missions is it's not even 6. It's like minimum 11 missions you're gonna have to complete.
Yeah. And this is the thing, right? Sorry, Croncy, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, this is going to be like it's a big part of this question of like narrative focus, right? None of these missions that we're going to see over the course of the next 6 to 9 months, however long the story beat lasts, are going to be particularly different because of the focus away from new features, which are usually required to make new types of missions. It is going to be refreshes of current missions most of the time, I imagine.
But that's the thing.
Yeah, if you are doing 6 of those missions every single time we're doing one of these events, and they're exactly the same.
So as you say, they've got a template library of mission types by this point, right? It's like cool, destroy server or destroy drugs or kill NPC or assassinate. You know what I mean, right? Bounty hunt, whatever. Take 6 different missions, put them in a string. It would be less egregious than what we had to go through doing that. Because I'm CFP, right? Oh, you guys never asked me who I went with. Why did you go with CFP, voiDude? Because I thought, and this is like when 4.0 went live, I was like, I'm going to go CFP because they're probably going to put me up against a lot of headhunters, and then I'm going to be killing elite headhunters one day and looting all the sick headhunter loot. And that's not a thing that's going to happen, right? And that makes me sad.
It might. It just isn't right now.
Maybe one day. Yeah, for sure.
If they get it together, it certainly, I hope it would be, right? I mean, I think last week we saw a monthly report of some Spec Ops NPCs and like all this other bullshit. That, I don't know if it'll be real or not, but it would be nice. It would be nice. Yeah. So who knows? At
the end of the day, man, I love this game. I'm going to play this game to death. There's nothing else quite like it. Sorry if my opinions upset anybody. You can deal with it. But yeah, guys, take it easy. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, cheers for calling.
And if you guys don't know voiDude, or voiDude on Twitch and voidyvids on YouTube, content creator for the game, awesome pirate. He's recording right now, I'm sure, and hopefully he's getting a good piracy hit.
All good podcasts have a name. Thank you so much. Answer the call. Cheers.
All right, man. Take you later, buddy. Bye now. All right, so our next and second to last caller, I see you, Commander Sin, in Green Room, but we're not going to get to you today, is Bloodaxe. Blood, can you hear us?
Bloodaxe.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure can.
Oh, great. Okay, so I've been a long-time listener. I just wanted to say thank you for giving the community a place to voice our thoughts and our opinions. And I'll get on to some of my points here. So on the Pyro event part, I would say the narrative it's kind of cool. I like it personally, but I very much feel like the lack of, because they grounding in the world, like the fact that we were missing voice lines. They need to give factions more of a face, if you understand what I'm saying, through like voice lines and like quest givers. Where did they go? Man.
That's I don't think we're gonna see them for a while. I think
and that's very unfortunate because I think quest givers would be like a very Dead Tail giveaway.
Yeah.
For sorry, my mother tongue is not English, so I have problems articulating myself. But like for giving factions a face, quest givers would matter a lot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, even like what was it? The first time Xenothreat happened, having the video where it was like the one like Xenothreat speaker, like the leader, just like pacing back and forth, spouting nonsense. I don't honestly remember what it is, so maybe it didn't make as much of an impact on me as I thought.
Xenothreat, I think of that.
That's what I think of.
Helmet and that guy with his arms behind his back like this.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'll never like that is the impact that had. And same thing with the Ninetales. I think of those bosses at Siege of Orison. Those were those are the Ninetales, right? When I think of SPK, I think of the boss character at or Crusader Security, I should say. I think of the boss character at SPK. These things matter.
Yeah.
They matter a ton, and again, this is what anchors you back into the world, right? It's more than just another go kill X amount of pirates mission, right? Yeah. There's a voice line attached.
Pepic who called earlier said, "People of Stanton." Yep, like that was the Xenothreat thing, right?
Yeah, right. And I just want to comment on Gumbo's idea earlier. He mentioned like having a news anchor show kind of thing playing in the verse.
Yeah.
Like telling you about where's the story going right now. Yeah, and I think that should not require any new tech, because they could just do the same thing that they done with like the Visit Orison commercials on station screens. Just get someone in a motion capture suit, play a short clip of them reading news events, and put it on the screen like a pre-render, right?
I was going to say, you may not even need to go as hard as motion capture. An example of what you're talking about that I've experienced before is in like Cyberpunk, you have these really like low animation, as in like there's just not like they didn't do it particularly high def or anything, and they're not moving around a bunch. After like important story beats, as you're like coming down an elevator, you'll get like a little. There will be like a news broadcast that like talks about some stuff that's happened. If you watch those, they're not really like, they're literally like robots like moving whatever, but it has the voice lines that goes over all those sort of things. Those are very cool. They're very short. You don't have to experience them for particularly long. And seeing that in these sort of events would be good. But it takes me back to what I said before. Do they want to put that much effort into this narrative section, or is that the next section?
Oh,
right?
I found it. So season 2 of Around the Verse. This is what they did. We won't be able to hear anything, but look at this. These are things that they did on the like the ISCs that essentially we have now. Is they were reporting news in the game, and Sandy was one of the anchors.
Yeah,
right?
Like that.
These kind of things can be in the game, right?
Yeah.
So
that would have made a huge.
Yeah, this would be cool.
Yeah, this is
even honestly, even
stuff.
just like more of this stuff, even like not necessarily in the game, but like on the YouTube channel, I wouldn't mind either. Like I do think that adds a lot to it. Like someone else said, that initial video we got for Save Stanton, that did have in that video had a broadcast about like, people are getting killed and whatever. Would also add a lot more to it.
God, this was so cringe. Holy shit, it was like local news. They nailed it.
The fact that it's cringe makes it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they nailed the cringe perfect. That was good.
I also want to comment on the issue of people. Well, several of my friends chose a faction without understanding that it was supposed to be a long-term decision. Again, I think that comes down to like a narrative issue.
I don't think it's a long-term decision, just to be clear.
Yeah, it's not that long.
No, I agree. Like in practice, it's not, but it's supposed to be, right? It was supposed to be like a long-term decision, but you can just do one mission and change faction. What the frick?
Yeah.
But anyways, back to the point at hand. People who knew it was supposed to be like a long-term decision and they kind of read stuff, they seem... Many of them seem to have chosen a faction just based on the rewards you actually get.
Exactly.
So, that will. Yeah.
To be fair, is the direction that they want us to go. Another thing, if I can, be fast enough and find it, Social Universe, that from CitizenCon, guide system beacons, organizations. Aren't we going to choose a specific organization that we want to align with? And the reason that we're going to align with them is probably for the specific reward that they give us. So, I don't know exactly where that is in the show, but that was something that they hinted us at. And so it's not that bad that we choose. Yeah, here we go. Choose which org to represent. Representing enables benefits. You could switch, but not infinitely visualized in world or whatever, right? So it's kind of the same. And like we're going to choose some long-term things, and we're going to go down a long-term side. Why I would choose the headhunters versus someone else, I don't know. But yeah, so it's not super loyal to a faction, but you can't change over and over and over again. But the reason I'm pointing this out is you're choosing based off of the rewards. So if anyone's saying like, choosing based off of the rewards this is the direction they seem to want us to go, but we can also discuss on like, hey, maybe that's not a good idea because of reasons, right?
Because my proposed solution to this, and you know, maybe this is a bad take, I don't know, but like a possible way to avoid people choosing purely on the rewards in the future would be to allow you to like quote unquote steal the rewards from opposite factions through a series of missions, for instance. Like right now in Pyro phase 1 and 2 and all that stuff, you had to do like 6 missions to advance to the next phase, right?
Yeah.
So choosing a faction is like the quote unquote shortcut to getting this particular skin that this faction deals out through faction rewards, right? And then you could do like extra missions that are like 6-phased or 12-phased, where at the end of it you get the rewards from other factions as well, like stealing information or data transferring or whatever. My point being that you would be able to get those rewards, but it would take a lot more time and effort. But you could still acquire them somehow. Which again, I would hope
would still not solve the problem, because people are still then just going to choose the one that is easier to get, or the one that they still want, they'll just get that one faster. And so they're still going to choose based on reward. That is a video game thing. That is not a like I would rather us have rewards and then have the result being that people are going to choose factions based on those rewards than not have the rewards and people choose based on story.
And I also hate the idea of I get to get everything. I want everything, therefore I get to get everything. I don't like that either, right? So I like your idea, but the idea of me being able to get all the skins from everybody is something that I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, because again, I am sharing my bias here, but I like the idea of certain things becoming rare. So whoever chose whatever faction was chose the least, that's going to end up being the rarest thing, right? Like in these storyline things, wherever we go in the future, the side that people chose the least is going to end up becoming the more desired thing in the future. And that's a very cool thing about these systems of when there's limited things and when there's choice that you have to make. There's other side effects that end up being really cool. It may feel not good in the moment, but then like the long-term scope of these games that last 20 years, it ends up being very, very cool. So yeah,
and again, I'm not against that concept.
Yeah,
I'm not against that concept in itself. I'm just again, what I'm trying to solve here, and again, maybe this is not the best solution, but what I'm trying to solve here is people choosing purely based on the rewards, right? If you want to roleplay,
you're trying to solve something that I don't think is a problem.
Yeah.
You know,
possibly.
I'm in somewhat agreement, because I guess why I brought up the org thing is we're talking about item rewards right now, but in reality, you're going to be going down and probably getting more impactful on your gameplay rewards, in the sense of I'm going to align with I don't know, the Bounty Hunters Guild, because I enjoy that gameplay and I want to get a bonus to whatever armor I'm wearing, or I'll get better pay, like what we see now already, right? And things like that. So I think that's why I don't think it's a problem, because it's the solution to make people feeling like they're making meaningful choices, I guess.
Yeah, and I hope SIG can pull it off.
Yeah,
absolutely. And one last thing before I go.
Sure.
Server maintenance stuff.
Yeah.
On a Saturday, man. What the frick?
These guys they work no matter what. Like I recorded Weekend Review this morning, and I'm still a little worried that they're gonna shoot a patch out Sunday night and not say anything.
Yeah. We never know these days. But one thing I noticed after the recent server maintenance stuff, I'm not sure if this is just me, but I felt like I was able to see, like, the network rendering distance has increased. Like, I could see ships on planets flying like 50 kilometers plus away. Big ships showed up on my radar at 48 kilometers, when earlier they have only been showing up at 20-ish kilometers.
I think
this was right after. That was right after
was
the
like
server
a hard
maintenance.
cap. So maybe they fixed something with that as well.
Yeah, I don't know. People should check it out because I found it really fascinating.
We always had that with big ships in chat.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
because I've seen several. What's the newest big ship? Polaris?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've seen several Polarises, and they've only showed up at 20-ish kilometers for me.
I
but
know
now
for
they suddenly showed up
ships,
further away.
Yeah, I know for smaller ships, like when my quantum drive would be on and it would be like an industrial drive, and I should be seen at a further distance, I was only seeing like I was testing radar one time, like 20 cap. But the big ones, for whatever reason, were showing up earlier. So I don't know.
Okay, maybe I've just never noticed then somehow. But okay, that was just an observation I made. So
it's possible.
No,
but
I think that's
it's
pretty
something
much
that we want, right? If I'm supposed to show up at 25 kilometers, I want to show up at 25 kilometers, 30, and so on.
Yeah,
we
it
want
needs
our
to be
radar
consistent.
we want our radar to be good. But all right, Blood, we'll let you go and first call, right?
Yeah, first call. Thank you for having me. I hope it wasn't too nervous.
No, you didn't sound nervous at all, and I hope you call again. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, man. Be good.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye now. All right, we're going to get to our last caller before I pee my pants. Blaze. Blaze, you there, dude?
I am, yes. Hang on. This is, I got my new audio set up, so stuff is not really working the way it should be working. Give me 1 second here.
No problem.
This is new. There you go.
No, the longer you take, the more that Michael pees his pants.
I'm hearing you guys here, so let me just go and put you here. That should be better.
We hear you loud and clear. Just
there
so
you go. Well, you were not on the headphones, so I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Okay,
all good.
I'll try to keep it shorter than last time. This time, because you guys wanted to keep it short.
Yes.
The first thing I would say, actually, with regards to the maintenance windows that they've had, the question that I have about that, was it the maintenance window or was it something that they fixed? In what I mean is, does the server restart result in the better performance? Because we do know degradation happens over time. And I have a feeling that most of the things that we saw that were more responsive was more due to the fact that they did a reset than that there was anything actually fixed. Time will tell.
Yeah. I was going to say almost certainly, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to reset the servers because degradation kept happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, it could just be both. It could be both things.
And it could be that they're actually experimenting with this, that they're trying to see what happens, to see if they can.
I know Ben
do
Watt
something
posted on Spectrum about like why they had done one of them, but I didn't read it or bother. That's a little too over my head stuff.
Also worth noting that the other thing that like shutting down all the servers does is when they introduce like hot fixes, they tend to only come around when like a new server is spun up. And so we used to always have these cases where there would be like some shards, especially in Australia, that would like never go down, and so they're still on like the old version. None of the fixes come through.
Correct. So for me, that was one thing to note. Then on the narrative side, I'm going to be the shill again. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. It's because I draw the parallels all the time because I see them. For me, what I'm seeing right now with the narrative that we're currently having is that CIG is trying to set up what we would know from Eve as the epic arcs, as the storylines which are designed around the factions, which have a specific story, which will be replayable in the future as well. So in Eve, you can do the epic arc for Sisters of Eve, for instance, and you can do that every couple of months to gain rep, to gain materials.
That's where I disagree with you. Is this seems like more for people who play Eve? This seems way more like what they're doing right now with the Drifters than what they're doing with the epic arcs. Because the Drifter stuff isn't repeatable. This doesn't seem like it's going to be repeatable, where the Sisters of Eve stuff is.
Yeah, I agree. So that's true. But I think it's an experimental thing. I mean, we still have to remind ourselves, yes, it's cringe. Yes, we're saying it all the time, but this is an alpha state game. So
you said it.
Well, it took until the last caller, but we got there. We did it.
Yeah.
I think we left Eve out until now. This was the longest we went without mentioning Eve.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, I do think that's a fair point to make. They're very clearly experimenting with how to do narrative, how to bring a narrative that they design into the game, how they can create a mission set for that narrative. And I think so far, what we're seeing is promising.
Yeah,
there's issues with it, but I think it's promising enough to let them cook in this regard for me. Say, okay, guys, show me what you got. What I hope to see eventually, and to go back to what Mike just said about Eve, the whole Revenant thing that we're seeing right now, the story that's evolving around Revenant, goes back first of all to the very beginning of the lore of Eve.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this shit, and I'm not participating in it at all. I have no idea.
And that's okay, because it rolls into the game itself over time, so it becomes part of the gameplay, part of the content.
Yeah,
and that's good.
Actually, just quickly, you know what game does lore delivery in its missions really badly? Eve. I feel like anytime. No, I will fight you till I die. I obviously I've enjoyed Eve a lot in the past, and I do enjoy the lore, like the actual what they've written for the lore and the story and whatnot. But when I am playing Eve, the story's kind of shit. It's not that enjoyable. It's they don't go very into depth with a lot of the story that, once again, is not just text.
That's fair,
and that kind of and that's what we're talking about. Like Star Citizen is supposed to be different. Star Citizen is supposed to be more in depth, right?
I agree, and that's definitely something where they can improve. But my point was, what I was trying to make there is, in the Eve lore, the most important thing maybe is that every being, all the species that are in the universe, come from the original humans who came through the Eve Gate. So there's no aliens. There's no...
Yeah. And that is cool lore. But that's what I'm saying. It's never delivered well. Just to bring it back to like the topic of this narrative in Star Citizen, Eve never really delivered it well. And so...
I agree.
Yeah, so like you want, like, this is one of the first times where it's like, I do not want Star Citizen to copy Eve over, right? So...
True. What I would like to see, though, is how we see new content being introduced. Like a year in advance, something pops up. There is a reporting through the scope about something that happened somewhere in the universe.
That's true. They do that, and that shows up.
Yeah. And they build on that over time. It takes months sometimes, but slowly but surely. And then they end up at a point where they introduce an expansion, and here is the content. That's what I was trying to get at. And that's very much what was mentioned before as well. In the scope, you can see the scope videos. They're released through social media, whatever else, but they also pop up in game. And when you're docked on one of the screens, you'll see that same reporting play out. You may not hear it. You don't get the audio, but you've seen the audio in real life, so you feel that in yourself. So, and that immerses you more into the story as it is evolving, if you get what I mean. So
yeah, and they've done this.
I can see that happen.
Like they've posted when Xenothreat was coming, the screens were getting hacked. They were doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I'm missing that a little bit now, actually. And it would have been nice if they kept... But again, it could be because they're trying to experiment with things.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see a more rounded reporting on that. Other than that, as I said, I think it's actually good the way... I think they need to get a little bit of time. But I would like to see, for instance, what's going to happen when we're getting closer to the next system. Are we going to get
we're
some
so
hints?
far from that. I feel like we're so far from that.
True.
Especially with what they announced last week. Yeah.
True.
We're definitely further away from that.
But it would be interesting to see if the narrative that we're currently seeing starts dropping some hints and starts dropping. That's what I mean.
Okay.
If that starts happening,
narratively,
I would want them to do that too.
Yeah. Narratively,
like,
sure.
They once again they kind of did that for Pyro. It just like it was super buggy. So like Save Stanton
and it took them, like,
was
30
supposed
years.
to be that for Pyro.
Yeah.
And I think Nyx is going to be next. And I could see a lot of opportunity there with Nyx for a number of reasons, which I think most of us will know how that could work. And the only other thing, because I thought it was interesting what voiDude said actually about the way he is experiencing the content. Personally, watching his videos, seeing how he goes, he is somebody who is really good at creating his own content.
Yeah.
He's really good at building a story for himself. Expat is another example of that, who is able to create something, create a story, create a narrative, if you want, out of nothing. And he is the same way. So I can totally see that for somebody with that mindset, what's happening now, which is a bit pre-cooked and prefabricated, may not be like, I don't really see this. But I do see a lot of people who would who would be interested in this and follow it. For me, it's like I'm more on the sidelines with what's going on right now, but I'd like to see where this is leading in, what this is leading into. Let me put it like that. So that's basically the point, and I agree with a lot of what has been said, specifically with more voice lines being overhearing an NPC saying something somewhere. Would be really cool if we would get a little bit more than the "Hi, how you doing? How can I help you?" Let that be an NPC in the shop who is talking to somebody else, saying something about, "Did you hear this?" Something like that.
There's one other thing I would like to see.
We didn't have the NPCs talking to each other, and it's a start, but it is also 15 years into the shit. So
there's one extra thing I would like to see that they for sure could do, because they're essentially doing it in a different way right now, in regards to these narrative missions, and in a greater respect anytime we get dynamic events, is like, all right, cool. Narratively right now, well, especially with like the event that's about to drop, we have lots of medical supplies being needed in the lore. Ammo, I imagine, should be just absolutely churning through, right? Make the price of ammo more expensive while this is running.
Just sandboxy shit, man. Sandboxy stuff. It's just a number. Change it.
Exactly. And they can do it because they are currently balancing those things, right? So they should theoretically be able to make that a thing right now. And that'd just be a nice little touch.
Yeah.
True. And the final thing that I wanted to bring up, actually, there's two things.
Oh my God. Nope. You said the final thing 3 times now.
No, I didn't. But anyway, let's continue. So the one thing that I so about Jared talking about how ISC is going to change. What I would like to see is that change a bit more in that it gets involved in the narrative. So not so much. Now, I don't know if you ever watched the polls. Going back to Eve.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an example of how CCP does bring in narrative, bring in lore, bring in stories into reporting that they do. I would like to see something. I think that would be cool if we see more of that kind of reporting through what Jared is doing.
I agree. I guess what I would say though is I would like to see more. I would like to see that when there's actual like player actions mattering, because that's also a big part of Pulse, right? Is like if there's a big war going on in nullsec, they'll talk about it, right? They'll put that into Pulse. That obviously doesn't exist in Star Citizen yet, so it would only be news about stuff that they're making. So it's like I agree. I would like to see that. I don't know if that's like a this year type thing, but it's also I don't necessarily disagree. Like I would like to see more just in general, I would like to see more lore-focused video content from CIG.
Exactly. And the final thing, really, Mike, I promise.
Wait, no, that is the third
final thing is that the one thing that we need to keep in mind is that while the distances in Star Citizen are big, the world is really small.
The universe, the universe is.
Yeah. It's still very, very small. So it needs time to grow and to get bigger for stories to play out. And that's currently not really happening.
If
and
they ever do base building, I think the small amount of star systems all of a sudden makes the universal world maybe a lot larger. There's the opportunity for that. I don't know if that's what will happen. I don't know if that's how it's going to feel. But because the planets and moons are so big and empty, if we start filling them, then maybe that won't be the case. But that is a big maybe, and I don't actually know. So
it's also like travel time is also going to depict how you feel about the size of the world a lot as well.
Yeah.
Because right now it's pretty fast to get around everywhere. But if you have to go from
not in fucking
in
Pyro,
the future,
but,
if you have to go from Terra all the way to like Castra, like through like 3 systems,
the
world will feel a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And you will have to bounce around when you come through Pyro because you don't want to jump straight into the gate because you have to make sure that you don't get caught because you're carrying whatever.
Yeah.
So that's going to play into it. But I agree. What Mike said is a good point that the base building will make the world bigger.
To use Eve maybe, but we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah. That was basically it for me. So.
Basically.
There you go.
A nice short one. A nice short call.
Relatively.
Love you, Blaze. Blaze, I did my first wormholes the other day, and I ended up at some free port and got yelled at for being there. But they let me go. So I don't know what a free port is or what happened, but
it should be fine.
I survived.
The Freeport is supposed
literally
to be
a Freeport.
Yeah, the guy was basically like, you shouldn't be running sites here. And I was like, okay. So what happens now? Are you gonna kill me? And he was like, no. And I'm like, all right, I'm out. See you later. And I just left. That was my only interaction in the wormhole. So.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, I got my OBS set up, so we should be getting something soonish, I hope, if work allows at this point.
Also, I reacted to a video, and blazemonger, for a totally different game, I think it was New World, a comment from a forum post from him was in the video. He's everywhere. Did you know this?
Amazing.
I think that's the one on the PvP, the MMO PvP thing. Yeah.
Crazy. So small world. But all right, Blaze, we'll let you go and we'll say goodbye to everyone for the day. But enjoyed the call, of course. I'm just messing around with
it. Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right, man.
Bye, guys.
Bye now. Now that I peed, I'm fine. But in the moment, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna because there was like 3 times where I was like, I think it's done. I'm gonna survive the show without having to pee in the middle of it. But no, I just drink so much during my stream. I drink one of these and then 2 giant cups of tea. So it's a lot. But how we feeling after today? Is the narrative focus enough to keep? It's enough to keep me coming back for some reason. But but guess what? I'm not doing. I'm not doing phase 3 because I have no reward. The rewards are what keep me coming back.
Yeah, and that'll be the case for a lot of people, I think.
Yep.
With that though as well, if these do become, if it essentially becomes like every month we get the exact same mission with a different flavor, it'll get incredibly tedious. People will get very bored of it very quickly.
Especially the 6 out of 6 stuff. I'm tired.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're going to need to try to spice these up a bunch over the course of the while. I think like this one was fine in my opinion. In terms of like how I played, see if you can spice it up a little bit as we go forward, and then just like all the stuff that we mentioned and people echoed, we need to feel like the narrative is happening.
Yeah, and that's I think most of the spice that people want is just tell me the damn story. You could make me do a fetch quest, but just make me understand why. It's annoying. I don't want to just do more fetch quests. I'm tired of it. But I think that's a good place to leave it. So. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you guys think about the Hornets narrative, some of the supply or die stuff, and I don't know what's coming next week. I don't think we get an ISC next week, so it's probably going to be an SCL about something, but we don't know. So maybe it'll just be more talk about this kind of stuff. But so far, the video content has been pretty good. And we'll just have to see. But yeah, I think the calls were good. I think the timelines that we gave everybody was pretty good, except for the last one. And yeah, we did good today. I'm happy with the show. Some days I don't feel happy about the show at the end. I'm like, we let them go too long or too short or whatever. So yeah, but
these guys know nothing.
Yeah. So hopefully next week's good, and we'll see. But I think that's where we'll leave you guys. So like, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow us on Twitch. Big day for Croncy tomorrow. It's his 5-year anniversary on Twitch. He's going to be on the front page of Twitch. So make sure you follow him if you haven't yet. And he's going to show all these noobs what Star Citizen is. People have never seen it before, probably. And it's going to be...
It's going to be great.
A disaster.
My referral, what is it, prospects will go up a ton. The recruits won't go up a single one.
Exactly. A bunch of people will sign up but not buy the game because they're like, I'll sit on the side for a little while. And just a note to that, my 10-year partnerversary is next month.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm old.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, I'm old. So I think that's where we'll leave you guys. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And don't forget
to answer the call.
Bye, everyone.